Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lizzie and today I have a fantasy recommendations list for if you're like trying to get into it, you're trying to like ease into the category, because I know it can be really overwhelming. When I first started, I definitely wish I had read certain series or certain books over others. So all of the books that I have today are either completed series or they should be completed at the end of this year. So like the last book is coming out this year as far as I know. Like the author hasn't announced that they're doing another book or that there's any delays. So I have a couple actually that I read on Kindle Unlimited too. So if you have that, then hopefully they're still on there as well. But I have my books right here. So I'm just gonna start. So the first series that I'm going to talk about is the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson, and this book follows Leah. So there's 3 books, and it is The Kiss of Deception, The Heart of Betrayal, and The Beauty of Darkness. So I'm just going to kind of talk about the first book because I don't really want to ruin the other books in the series. So Leah is the main character. She is a princess, and on the day she's supposed to get married, she decides she doesn't want to do it and she flees her kingdom. So she goes to like a small town, and hold on one second, let me put these books down. She goes to a small town and she becomes like, I'm pretty sure it's a barmaid, and she thinks she's like in the clear, she's in hiding, and she has 2 people sent after her. There's an assassin and the prince that she's supposed to marry, so Rafe and Caden, and she doesn't know that they're sent after her. And in the book, we don't know who's who, we just get all of their POVs, and so this follows their story. And obviously there's a little bit of romance. I don't feel like there's too much in this series, but there still is some. And if you like this series, then I definitely think you would like the other series by her, which is based off of the same world as this world. And it is The Dance of Thieves and then Vow of Thieves. And it's just a duology. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. The next series is actually a series I read on my Kindle, and it was on Kindle Unlimited at one point. I don't know if it still is, but that is the Plated Prisoner series. So actually the last book just came out. I think it's the last book, I'm pretty sure, and that is Glow. So the first book is Gild, then it's Glint, Gleam, and Glow, and this series is a King Midas retelling, and it actually follows Arin, which is kind of like his favored, and she is kept in like this golden cage. Like he's really the only person she talks to. She's like in love with this man, and he's horrible. Like he is just awful. And slowly throughout the story, she learns different things, and she starts to like break her core beliefs, and like she meets other people, and it's really great. Like I definitely would recommend it. I'm so excited to read the last book. I have not yet, but I think it'll be my next read. So definitely recommend. I also feel like it's pretty easy to follow, and if you like sort of retellings of classics, then I definitely think you would like that series. The next books that I have are a trilogy, and this is Kingdom of the Wicked, and this has Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Curse, and the last book is coming out at the end of this summer, and that is Kingdom of the Feared. So this is it is like a witch, 7 princes of hell sort of story. If you like mystery and you're trying to get into fantasy, I definitely recommend this. It's not the most action-packed fantasy book, and I wouldn't say this was like my favorite by any means. I felt like it was really hyped, and if it hadn't been, I would have liked it a lot more, but I still thought it was a really good book, especially for like easing in. It's like super easy to follow. But it basically follows Amelia, and her sister is killed, and she kind of works with like the different princes of hell to figure out what happened. So definitely like a fun story. I've never read anything like it, and I really liked the concept. I just didn't absolutely love it, But again, I feel like if you're starting off with fantasy, this is like a great book or a great series to get into. The next series was a series that I also read on my Kindle, and it is The Bargainer. I'm pretty sure it's a trilogy with one novella, or it may just be a trilogy. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't read the novella, I just read the 3, but it follows Callie or Calypso and Desmond. And Callie basically gets into a situation when she's younger, and she calls upon the Bargainer, and he's like a fae king, and she calls upon him to make a deal to help her out, and he agrees, and he lets her off and like doesn't have her repay the debt. But then she keeps calling on him, and so he starts building up she starts building up favors, and they come in forms of beads. So for every deal she makes with him, she owes him a favor. And so she has these really long line of beads, and she kind of starts to like him, and they become friends. And then one day he just kind of disappears off the face of the earth, and she's really bitter about it. And randomly, I think it's like 7 years later or something, he calls in he calls in all the favors that she owes, and he's like, you have to make them up. So it follows their story. It's really, really good. It's like fae and vampires, werewolves, that whole thing. So definitely more so getting into what I read a lot of times of fantasy. I think it's like urban fantasy, I think is that specific genre or subcategory, but it is really good, and I think it's not talked about enough. So definitely The Bargainer. It's really great. The last series that I have is The King of Battle and Blood, and this is a duology as far as I know. It's by Scarlett St. Clair, and the last book is coming out at the very end of this year in December. So this follows, I think her name is Isolde, and Adrian, and it's arranged marriage. She does it to try and save her kingdom. He is like the first vampire king, and he's coming and like taking over all of the other kingdoms in their world. And so she marries him to try and save her kingdom from being taken over, basically. And throughout the story, she learns that there is a different side of it, and obviously it's like enemies to lovers, that classic fantasy romance. And I love the banter in this book is amazing, and both of them are like dark and brooding and just like don't like each other and like don't deal with each other's shit. And Adrian is just amazing. Like, I love this man so much. He is so great. But I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, it also just the story goes in a completely different way than I thought it was, and you can probably start to guess when you're about halfway through the book what ends up happening, but there's just way more to the story than what it seems. And so it's really, really good. But those are the 5 series that I have. So again, they're either supposed to be completed this year or they are already completed. I think I'm gonna make another recommendations video later on of just like either more high fantasy or just like fantasy recommendations in general. But again, if you're easing into fantasy, I feel like the easiest way to do it is starting with young adult books, even some new adult books, and then trying to make sure the series isn't super duper long, because I think that can also dissuade a lot of people. And it gets very confusing, especially when you don't realize, like, authors will just make up words and you think you should know what the words mean, but you don't. So yes, definitely check out any of these books. And if you have any other recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.